Finally, we got a major news story, and it's a doozy. So many of you are going to be so happy, which you probably already are from the poster frame and the title of this video, but you don't even know the half of it. All right, so it was announced today, just moments ago, that Sam Raimi and Naughty Dog, in cooperation, of course, with creator Neil Druckman, are going to make a movie of The Last of Us, which we've discussed here on the show because so many of you are fans of this video game. It's about a zombie apocalypse and this guy Joel, who lost his own daughter to this horrible plague and the outbreak, the resulting violence that ensues, and then he has to kind of redeem himself by escorting this another girl years later named Ellie. I just want to make sure I get my facts right. Ellie, through the really dangerous terrain of the United States to a safe haven where, because she's immune to this infection, they can maybe try and use that to help others. So while that might seem like a standard story to those of you who don't play the game, this is such a famous game because of its excellent storytelling. Many people feel that the cinematics that play in between the gameplay is good enough already to be a movie. And this is how I heard of it. So many of you said, Grace, go watch the cinematics. They're all lined up here on YouTube. You can watch them all at once. It's like watching a movie. And many of you have had your loved ones, so I'm glad many of you wanted me to do it as well. Sit down and watch these cinematics. And a lot of people are having a favorable response. And I guess Sam Raimi did too. But it gets even better. This is what I'm talking about. Who are they going to cast? Well, nothing about Joel, but they did tease a meeting with Game of Thrones Maisie Williams. How phenomenal is that? She doesn't look like the avatar created in the game, but obviously she's very good at trekking across dangerous terrain with those hunting her and to protect her. She would be a phenomenal choice, and I think that's very exciting, and I can see why they would tease it. And they must have a pretty good lead on negotiations to make such a tease. And I'm sure they're hoping that that tease and the surrounding excitement will help maybe push Maisie Williams and her team to agree to do the film. Now, also very reassuring, Neil Druckman has said that Naughty Dog, in working with Sam Raimi and Screen Gems, they're going to be the studio behind the film, they only would do it if Naughty Dog would have final say on the director and the cast. So that's, I think, very encouraging for you guys as well. Now, no word on who will be that director I think Sam Raimi's going to produce, but he has an excellent track record in multiple roles when it comes to filmmaking, both as a director and as a producer. He's very effective, and I think he'll definitely play up the horror elements here, but also the storytelling elements. I think he's a very good choice. There are a lot of other great names in horror, obviously, but I think they don't value story quite as much as Raimi. But he doesn't overvalue it either. He delivers action. He's a really middle-of-the-road, mainstream talent, which is interesting considering where he came from, but I think that's how he's evolved. So I'm very excited about this. I'm not only excited about the news itself, but that we finally have a big news story that's not Marvel or DC coming out of Comic-Con. I dare say it might have been worth the wait. Now, I'm sure a number of you are already commenting below. For instance, who would you like to see play Joel? I keep telling you, Mark Wahlberg. We had a big argument about this before. I think he has a lot of the compassionate, everyday guy qualities that would be necessary for that role. And he's, of course, a big box office draw. He's protecting his daughter over in Transformers, right? Probably the first movie to reach $1 billion. But it is a little similar, the roles, now that I think about it, Transformers and The Last of Us, so who knows if he wants to repeat that, but I would consider somebody like that. Now, of course, there are very good voice actors involved here. Troy Baker, who's taken over for Mark Hamill as the Joker in the Batman video games. He, of course, voices Joel and does the motion capture for the video game. And then Ashley Johnson does Ellie. And she obviously isn't going to get the role in the movie because I think Maisie Williams is a brilliant choice. But Ashley Johnson, fun fact, you might recall her from Growing Pains reruns that I'm sure are still on. She was young Chrissy Seaver. So I think this also speaks to a growing trend in video game movies. Now, Resident Evil is really the only video game franchise that has lasted, although it's not at all faithful to the source material, which is a huge sticking point and a real problem for a number of fans of that game. But I think because they're seeing how much success there is with comic book movies, I think you're going to see a second run at this. We've also been discussing this as well, this aspect. For instance, Ubisoft has so many movies in development that they're directly involved in. I think that's the key. Not giving your project away to Hollywood to do what they want with, but to have it work out. Now, of course, Microsoft could not do that with Halo, but they're also at this convention talking about their own Ridley Scott miniseries they're going to be doing themselves in-house and seeing if they can compete that way. I think, make no bones about it, that's a testing ground for a movie. And then Ubisoft, as I said, they have a number of games in development. There's Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender, is quickly moving ahead. Splinter Cell with Tom Hardy, also moving ahead. I think Doug Liman was the last person who talks to direct that film. And they also have Watch Dogs, Far Cry, and Rabbids are all in development. So I think this is fascinating, and I think we are reaching the age of the video game movie, where this talent will be directly involved. And I'm glad they held out, and I'm glad Naughty Dog has held out as well, because Screen Gems, that's a division of Sony, with all due respect to Screen Gems, they aren't known for producing quality content. So if I heard them knocking at my door, I'd be scared too. Talk about a horror movie, right? But it looks like Neil Druckman survived. What do you think of this news? Are you excited? Write down below your thoughts, and you can check out some more Comic-Con updates right now, and stay tuned for continued coverage. Bye.